Hi, Dan.
Hi, Nick. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. You?
I'm great, thanks. To be honest, I'm pretty excited as we're launching our Patreon over the next week.
Yes, what an absolute treat to start 2023 with. I'll tell you what, though, before we start, I'm parched. Do you have any drinks?
I don't. But our listeners could treat us to a dandelion and burdock every month to keep us hydrated for the podcast.
Sounds good, but what would they get out of it?
Well, for just £3 a month, they could get a full video episode with behind-the-scenes preamble and post-show chat every week. And let me tell you, that's
Wow.
usually a real treat.
That sounds like a real treat. That sounds awesome. I'm well up for that, but I don't need to because I'm involved. I don't need to pay.
No, but they'd get that a day earlier than everybody else with release on a Tuesday.
Surely, in that case, they'd also get the podcast version a day earlier as well.
Absolutely.
I'm concerned now we've become sellouts and decide to have adverts featured on the podcast. People will come for us with pitchforks.
Well, in this tier, they'd get the episode ad-free.
Excellent. Surely they can't get anything else in this tier.
Not really. Only an extra wrap-up podcast at the end of each season where we watch interviews and performances from the era we've discussed, and one watch-along episode a month where we'll watch and discuss a classic gig, film, or anything Arctic Monkeys related.
What, like Glasgow 2013, Live at the Apollo, Scummy Man, or Submarine?
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many more. But I'm not done yet. We'll also be putting out special birthday party episodes on each band member and associated band members' birthdays. And do you know what's good about that?
What's good about that?
Alex's is the 6th of January.
Amazing. Sounds like that'd be a great date to launch the Patreon then, with an Alex Turner birthday party episode ready and waiting for our patrons.
As always, Nick, you read my mind.
It's an amazing tier. And again, you get all that for just £3 a month.
Yep.
I don't see what else the next tier could possibly offer on top of that.
Well, if you're now well hydrated and you fancy grabbing a pint with me, our listeners can treat us to one in our local, the Cornerstone.
I'll be there in 10 minutes.
For just £5 a month, our listeners can access our Cornerstone tier and get all the great features already referenced on the previous tier. Plus, and I'm excited about this,
I'm on tenterhooks here. Or rusty hooks, as it were.
Nice. Well, our Cornerstone patrons will also get a monthly Last Shadow Puppets podcast where we'll do a deep dive into a track from the beginning of the catalogue all the way to the end.
Amazing. B-sides and all.
B-sides and all.
Wow, that's just outstanding. So all the previous features and the Shadow Puppets pod. Incredible.
Well, also, each subscriber gets to pick any song from any band or artist that doesn't feature an Arctic Monkeys member in the act or production, and we'll put the songs into a prize draw once a month. So, for example, you might pick Thank You Next by Ariana Grande. The winning subscriber will get a podcast in our format on that song. They'll stay in the prize draw until they win, and will refresh annually.
This all sounds amazing. Well, apart from the Ariana Grande bit, but yeah, that's a me issue. So, we're launching on Alex's birthday?
Yes, on the 6th of January, come to our Linktree or socials to access Patreon, where you can choose your tier of choice. Once you've signed up, you'll immediately start seeing the benefits with the Alex Turner birthday party episode.
This is all very exciting.
Isn't it just?
Well, we hope you're all as excited as we are and can help support us throughout 2023 and beyond. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We're Arctic Monkeys. This is Don't Believe the Hype.
That rock and roll, eh? Ladies! That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question.
Cheers, dude.
That man just yawned. We're gonna call it,
Don't Believe the Hype.
Hello, good morning, good evening, good day, and welcome to Don't Believe the Hype, the weekly show. And it is a show, okay, Dad, constantly picking at and consuming the scab that is the extensive back catalogue of Arctic Monkeys. I'm Nick Lee, joined as ever by the man who'll compliment your tits and leave you to your wits. It is, of course, Dan Holt. Dan, how's it going, man?
Very well. That's a nice introduction last week there. I will compliment your tits.
It's true, listeners. He will.
Speaking of Sketchhead, to be fair, I'm a bit disappointed in our listeners that Sketchhead is losing the. By now, we'll probably be up to like the round of 16 listening now, or even the quarters by the time this goes out. But Sketchhead was losing the war in the vote. I can't remember what it was up against, but it was losing badly to. I think it might have been. It was the one that Blake said he liked, didn't he? And he wanted to win. Oh, was it Frightline Dining Room or something? So two Humbug B-sides. Yeah, Frightline Dining Room, two B-sides from Humbug going at it, and Sketchhead losing. But I do love them
Just
both, so I
losing
can't
the
complain.
war.
It's one of them, innit, with Arctic Monkey songs where you're like, I really wanted that to get through, but you're also like, well, you know what?
My other
That's
kids
still
are
a good
doing
song,
all right.
innit? Yeah. Yeah.
It must be how
like Tom Hanks with
the
his
father
kids.
of the bouldering family. Yeah, that's it. It's like, well, the one who was in Dexter's
Chet's a
doing
bit
all right.
wrong, but yeah.
Yeah.
Colin's
He's
all
a
right.
gimpy. So
But yes.
last week it was Riot Van, one of the black sheep of the album, possibly. Although I think we demonstrated why it isn't. So why it's not a black sheep at all. But what are we talking about this week?
We're talking about a taxi classic, Red Light Indicates Doors Are Secured. And our video listeners will be able to see that I'm currently cozied up in the back of a black cab with Alex Turner at the helm. You all right, Al? How you doing? This is not going to go down well on audio at all, but tune in to our Instagram or Twitter or YouTube to see what I'm talking about. But Alex Turner's currently driving me in a taxi to High Green or somewhere. And Alex, already £2.50. You've only got about a yard. What's going on, mate?
Oh, as long as you're happy, mate.
I am happy.
We'll kick off then by having a little listen to said track.
You see her with the green dress, she charged me at the bar. Well, I come it's already £2.50, he's only got about a yard. And you see she was gorgeous, she would be on belief. Yeah, but this lad at the side drinking a smell of bars, getting a paper a tropical reef. And I'm simply going backwards, and I didn't know how to leave. I said it's time we made by a old leave.
So that was taken. That was Red Light Indicate.
It's a tricky one.
Yeah, that was
Strokes.
Red Light Indicates Doors Are Secured live from MTVU House Band, which I'm assuming was some MTV exclusive live show where I'm assuming with a house band.
Yeah, I've probably watched that 18 years ago. Probably can't remember it now, but it's a great clip that you found there. Lovely little shot of the Vox amps there. I love a Vox amp. I used to have but during the Suck It and See period, I bought a Vox amp just because I read it's what Arctic Monkeys used, and it didn't disappoint. It was a beautiful amp, and I'm sad that I actually sold it to someone. And the same day that I sold it to them, it broke, and they tried to give me it back, and I told them to fuck off. It's yours now. It's past your threshold. It's your responsibility. The money's in my pocket. And I didn't. That does make me sound like a sketchhead. You know, the tires were bald when you gave him the car.
Yeah.
I checked it the night before, and it did work. So, in fact, the lad actually tested it the night before, and then when he took it, it then broke. So I argue that he did something to it. That's all I'll say, Jake. But
let's just hope he's not listening. So this takes us to the part of the show we like to call
The information action ratio is the place to go.
Red Light Indicates Doors Are Secured is the 8th track on the debut, and another brief one at 2 minutes and 23 seconds, with 41.6 million streams on Spotify, making it the second least streamed song on this album. The song is 111 beats per minute, and you'll be pleased to hear that this one is back up on the numbers from TuneBat and has been given a popularity score of 59, an energy score of 85, and a happiness score of 91. They claim this is in B minor, but other reports suggest the song is in the key of B, so we'll go with that, it's close enough.
Wrong key, though.
Other key tracks in B are little-known Liverpudlian band The Beatles with For No One, pension-ready punk rockers Blink-182 with Always, and Born in the USA by, is that Courtney Cox he's grabbing? Oh no, it's a big load of cash from the extortionate ticket prices of his latest tour. Yes, it's Obama's best friend, Bruce Springsteen. I thought I'd get some information on Ewan Davies, who helped Jimbo Abyss with the recording on this one. He is a British recording engineer working at Chapel Studios. He has also worked with the Noisettes, Napalm Death, who sound delightful, and Bombay Bicycle Club, or as I once called them in an attempt to sling an insult at a friend that loved them, Bombay Potatoes. Red Light has... It was a glorious moment, and he got really annoyed. Red Light has been played 67 times live. The first time was at the Dublin Castle, London on April 5th, 2005. And lastly, at the Forum, London on August 24th, 2006, which, if you remember from last week, was also the last time that Riot Van was played live. So both signed off at the same gig. In 2020, the year of the pandemic, the song was featured on the soundtrack to a documentary called TFW No GF, directed by Alex Lee Moyer. It explores the world of young, disaffected white men from their perspective. These men are most commonly referred to as incels, short for involuntary celibates, who are united by their disenfranchisement, their rejection of societal norms, and their ardor for pissing off certain self-serious corners of the internet. Not all these men are violent.
They're sent.
Not all of these men are violent. In fact, it's safe to say most probably aren't. But engaging in violent rhetoric against various protected groups, such as women and people of colour, is one of the hallmarks of the subculture. That is not, however, an opinion shared by director Alex Moyer. On the contrary, Moyer believes that incels have been woefully misrepresented by a hysterical media intent on making disaffected young white men a cultural bogeyman. Red Light features in the... I know... Poor them. Red Light features in the background of a scene at a gym as somebody called Sean is lifting weights. He talks about the benefits of working out. Why they chose this song, I don't know. But I think it's very important that we take a moment's silence for the poor, sexless young white man. So now to the reviews. Those poor white men. Society's treated them so badly. But on to the reviews. Rolling Stone said, Red Light indicates doors are secured, chronicles a calamitous post-clubbing cab ride through Sheffield streets with Strokesian swagger. Chris Pacifico of treblezine.com said, Red Light indicates doors are secured, contains a jerky rhythm that comes across as middle ground between that of Franz Ferdinand and the early Adam Ant records. Turner singing in a more tepid tone of the geezer banter like the streets, and the guy really knows how to dish out quick and razor-sharp slacker jest. Here's a clip of an early Adam Ant song that I felt fit that bill. Yeah, I was surprised by how much the song that I found actually sounded like Red Light Indicates Doors Are Secured. Like, there's a bit in there, like it's obviously a different rhythm and stuff, but you can hear it, I'd say.
It's always nice to hear an Adam and the Ants song that isn't "Stand and deliver your money or your life."
I was actually trying to remember what the famous Adam Ant song is, and I thought, oh, it's You Want to Be in My Gang, and then I thought, oh no, it's not. No,
that's the other one.
I don't want to be in your gang, Gary. But yeah, no, that's all the reviews. Bit of a light information and reviews this week with this one. It was bare bones out there in the universe, but probably because it's not it's not even quite at Still Take You Home level, is it? I mean, it's the second least streamed song on the album. The least being, I think it was You Probably, blah, 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 wasn't it? The other week that was. And I think it's kind of fallen into that. For me, it's a classic in terms of lyric and culture. And I like a lot about it, listening back to it, but I don't think it's ever made it into the big pantheon of Arctic Monkeys songs, has it? It's not quite broke through into that top tier.
No, absolutely not. I mean, there's other tracks on this album that like Still Take You Home, as we did a couple of weeks ago. I think that's still well and truly in there, despite being relatively obscure compared to a lot of stuff. But yeah, this certainly hasn't. This is a cult one, I think, a cult hit.
Yeah, and I think mainly for its lyrical content, and which we'll get to. But I think obviously we usually start on the music, and that hip hop type riff we've discussed before. On You Probably and blah, 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 and Still Take You Home. It's here again. It's very hip-hop, very rap. Maybe the most, actually, I thought, listen to it, that sounded like it. I can imagine someone, if it was slightly slower, maybe somebody rapping over this quite easily, more so than any of the others. I was amazed in my research that this hadn't been sampled. I was thinking, this will be one that has been sampled, and I'll find that clip. But no, nobody. But I did actually do. You remember when you said another week that you'd slowed one of them down? I did that with this, and I was planning on recording it to play on this podcast. And it's funny, it didn't work slowed down because of the rhythm guitar. So I think you need to strip the rhythm guitar away because the rhythm guitar is doing that. It's doing like the chords in the background. That slowed down didn't work. But if it was, I think it was just the drums, the riff, and the bass, it would 100% work as slowed down. But yeah, interesting. I did try and do that, but it didn't quite work. But I still think the song is pure hip hop. Right.
There's a number of songs that I think fit that bill. Since we mentioned it the other week, I kind of went looking through, and I think it was Fake Tales where we first mentioned it, that style of riff, and it goes like Teddy Picker. I think Crying Lightning and Don't Sit Down Because I Move Your Chair, despite elements of distortion, have a similar, and 4 out of 5 as well. I think is that classic Arctic Monkeys hip hop riff, but slowed down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we'll wait for that in a couple of years. I also would throw My Propeller and things in there. Like, I know last week I said My Propeller was kind of heavy metal in riff, like a kind of Enter Sandman type riff, which I stand by. But I also think if you that and Crying Lightning and that, if you put them in a different context, you'd have. They did that, didn't they? A lot at first, up until Tranquility, really. But you say it's in 4 out of 5, so we'll wait for that. I guess we'll see what that is there. But they've always done that kind of riff, haven't they? Very impressive. But having said that about the hip hop, at the same time, I think this is the most Strokes that we've heard so far. We've commented a few times that we didn't hear much Strokes as we thought because of the obvious lyric that I'm not going to say because we've already used that for lyric alarm and it's too obvious to throw that one out. But we thought we'd hear that a lot, and then we haven't until I think it was like You Probably Still Take You Home and stuff like that. We started to hear them a bit more, didn't we? Or maybe like a bit in Dancing Shoes as well. But this one I would say the most where I've heard so many as we'll go through. Yeah, very, very specifically for the opening riff, I heard a bit of Strokes in that. Even though I just said it was very hip hop and very rap, but things can be more than one thing, can't they? That's okay.
They can. Yeah. I mean, look at me. I'm a dreamer. I'm a slacker. I'm a waster. I'm a stoner.
I thought you were going to come out as bi then for a second. That's right.
I'm leaving until the Christmas episode.
Well, if there's anything 2022 is known for, it's that anyone can be whatever they want to be, and that can be more than one thing. And that's fine here at Arctic Monkeys Podcast. We're okay with that.
Cool. All welcome.
All welcome. Apart from, you're racist and you're homophobes, obviously. Boo.
Yeah, you're sexist.
Yeah,
and
you poor white men that have been down by society. God, we've got it. Everyone hates us.
Marginalised.
Oh no, we only had 3,000 years of being on top. Now we've had 4 years. Now we've had 3 years of people saying that we're maybe scumbags, and suddenly we're up in arms about it. Get to the back of the line, white men. You've had your time. And I'm saying that. We're saying that's 2 white men. But in terms of the to go back to the song, to go back to the opening riff, it reminded me of specifically with the Strokes. You Only Live Once. I thought when I heard it, and then I went back and listened to it, and I could hear a similarity. So I've got a clip for you all to hear. I know what it is. When I don't listen to the Strokes for a while, and then I listen like this, I listen to that, and I was like, they're so good, those 2 albums. Like, they're just so fun to listen to. Because I didn't like them for ages. Like, I'll admit, I was just being a dick and being contrarian, going, oh man, like last night. But like, I did eventually just go, I'm going to listen to it when I fell in love with them. But particularly those 2 albums. But I know when you were going through the riffs a minute ago and that style, I know this doesn't sound exactly like Red Light, but that type of riff that you went through with Fake Tales and everything like that, you can hear that a bit in here, and maybe hear why they started doing that kind of thing when they were doing theirs. I thought, because it was that was a Sheffield thing, wasn't it, as well? Because Melbourne
and Little Montate were doing it.
Yeah, Sending the Boys is very much that. Maybe it isn't a specifically Sheffield thing. Maybe it was just maybe Sheffield had been the most influenced at that time by that sound coming over from the US. I don't know, but maybe other people were doing it too. But they're the ones I remember. But yeah, I can hear a similarity in those songs. And I thought, as I will be mentioning the Strokes more today than we have, and potentially maybe will in the rest of this album, I don't know, or in the future, like we don't know how often they're going to come up, because I thought this would be the album where we'd be talking about them every episode, and we haven't. So I thought we'd have a little Strokes-themed bonus round.
That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question.
I love that every time. But it's not one I can even get like bored of or anything, because it's ridiculous. But it's like he made that for us to have a jingle. But like, you know, what would we have done? What would we have done if we didn't have the for the bonus rounds? Like, he made that just perfect for this kind of format. Thanks, Al. Thanks, Al. I just turned for listeners, I just turned to him in the taxi and said it to his face for anyone listening.
we would have had to use the I've got one more question. Are you mine, Glastonbury? That would have had to have been I've got one more question would have had to have been it, and it's not as good as that. So well done again, Alex.
Yeah.
You don't give Alex Turner enough credit on here.
No, if there's one thing we need to start doing, it's giving Alex Turner credit. He gets very overlooked.
Jamie Cook appreciation hour over here.
Bloody Andy. But yeah, no, so the bonus round I came up with was just a simple bit of a personal one between us. I thought you could try and guess my favourite Strokes song. And in turn, maybe I'll try and guess your favourite Strokes song as well. Okay, but I'll let you go first.
Yours isn't the one that I got a clip for, is it?
No.
That's not really weird.
No, that's just
send me a list of clips to get ready, and then
now the listeners know there's more clips coming. You've ruined the illusion. No, it's not. It's not that one. It's not that one. That would be a strange one to be my favorite, wouldn't it? It's not that one, but I can give you the album to help narrow it down.
Yeah, give me the album.
And I'm gonna look, and you give me the album for your. Do you have those off the top of your head? Off the top of your head, what your favorite would be? Do you think? So
yes,
I think based off your personality, I might be able to get it. But go on, give me the album mine's on is First Impressions of Earth.
Oh, hello. Is it Juice Box?
No. You might not expect it, to be honest.
It's not one of the first 3 tracks on that album.
No.
Turn the album off after the first 3 tracks.
Oh, really? Oh no, it's not one. It's not one of the first 3. I know what you mean.
I've nothing to offer you here. Then it's not Red Light, is it? Fit in with today.
That would be bullshit, wouldn't it? If it was, it'd be such a lie if it was just for the theme. No, so my favorite is On the Other Side, which if you do turn it off after episode 3, I would fully recommend you go and listen to, because that is an absolutely phenomenal. And I think it's their best song. It's a bit slower, and I think it's their best lyrical work. And as we know, I love lyrics, as we've learned in this podcast. I'm the lyrics man mainly, but the music came easy. So, but yeah, On the Other Side, it's a song about him and his alcoholism, and it's got one of my favorite lyrics ever, where he says something like, "I hate them all. I hate them all. I drink some more. I love them all." And it's a really good, it's a really good song. I love it. But that's my favorite Strokes song, yeah. But yeah, so Nick, what album's yours? Do you know what album yours on? So I can have a guess yours.
Mine is in much the same way as we're currently on my favourite Arctic Monkeys album. Mine is on the first album. Is This It?
You're a first album man, aren't you?
Yeah.
Is your favourite? What's your favourite Libertines album?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, yeah, it probably is the first one.
You can't have it with Bowie though, because that's like, it was called like David Jones, wasn't it? And he sat on the cover.
Like the laughing gnome.
I reckon your favourite off Is This It? It wouldn't be Someday. I think you'd be like New York City Cops, man.
Oh, he's got it.
Really? I see.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Nice work, man. Yeah.
Because I know, my reason in my head was, I know Nick's personality. I know he likes a bit of punk and that, and that's like the punkiest Ramones-esque song on that album. So I was like, that's it. And
there was a live version of it where Jack White joined them on the guitar. So that's always going to endear more.
Another thought process in that was, I thought it's the most song that sounds like the first Libertines album, even in his vocal delivery. Like they're kind of like, he's like noises he makes and stuff like. Yeah. So yeah, I know. You might have got mine if you'd known If you know, I was a depressing, crippling alcoholic, and that you didn't, and you listen past track 3 on First Impressions of Her.
See, that was the issue. I knew about the alcoholic thing. I was fully aware
You
of
just
that.
hadn't listened to them. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm not an alcoholic. I should be, but I'm not. I'm still enjoying it. But yeah, no, that was just a little silly. I've got a more Arctic Monkey Space bonus round later on, folks. Don't worry. But that was just a little bit of. But I'm glad I did it now, because it was impressive that I got yours. Right now, and people think it's a setup, but it's not. I had no idea.
I just don't know where to go with that.
I haven't spoke to you about
a lot of numbers.
I'm a good reader of people's souls, Nick.
Right, it's gone from wholesome to creepy in the space of about 30 seconds. So weird.
Much like this album. Okay, now that's our way back in. So the rhythm guitar on this song, though, took me back to the discussion about "Still Take You Home." Reminded me of that kind of guitar. The what old Cookie Monster was doing on his guitars. But we won't talk about him because we talk about him too much, apparently. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's all going tits up, isn't it? That was the ghost of Alex knocking my mic over.
The taxi's just gone over a speed bump.
Yeah. Perhaps it's a metaphor for of that in Partridge when the keyboard won't work at the thing, and he goes, perhaps he comes out and he goes, perhaps it's he goes, gremlins in the system. Perhaps it's a metaphor for anyway. But yeah, no, really loving what Jamie was doing on this. The drums again are pure hip hop. I always like to go on about the drums, but I've been listening again to the drums a lot since Helder said in a recent interview that he looked to do things in a unique way. He looked to kind of invent new things that hadn't been done before. And if you listen to the drums towards the middle of the second verse of this song, they do this kind of roll, speed up, slow down thing. And it's really interesting when you kind of just focus on that, because it's not what you'd hear anywhere else, I don't think. Like, it's a really interesting thing that he does. And I thought, oh, that's the kind of thing he was doing. He was just inventing new stuff that he could get in there, which, God bless him. What a guy. I'm a drummer. I've only been playing drums for a couple of years. That's mental at this point to be, because it'd be so easy with this song to just kind of just play along. Yeah, so easy trap to fall into. And once again, Helder's just he earns his 25% here. He does earn that 25% once Barney and Jimbo had got the money out of the coffers for Barney's chips money. Poor Barney. Every time I'm not going to do it. But yeah, no, really, really solid drums the whole way through on this. And yeah, like you say, he didn't have to be. You could have just phoned it in. Like, especially since he'd been doing the hip hoppy thing for a few tracks. I mean, obviously they don't write it in the album order, but just this one isn't on Beneath the Boardwalk, so I think it's safe to assume it was written later on than the others, obviously. So to be still coming up with ways to make them original in this song, because it has got a similar kind of style to Still Take You Home and the others, hasn't it? Really, it's got that same kind of style. So yeah, a little bit different there.
Bass as well. I like the way it's not much of the bass at the start, but as things get going, same riff as the lead, which we've also seen on Fake Tales, and we will see on a few other tracks.
We did, yeah. And I love it when they do that. Sort of do the same. Especially, it really comes in towards the end of the music on this. But it gets me, the Calm Down Temper, the guitar and the drums, what they do during the Calm Down Temper bit, gave me a very big vibe of a musical change that happens in the next song that we'll be covering on this album. So when that song changes its style, it reminded me of that bit in this, with the kind of and the guitar, like sort of hitting the guitar by going dun, 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 like that. Reminded me of that bit in Mardy Bomb. A little bit of change there, but maybe that was just something they were experimenting with, or they were written around the same time. Because is Mardy Bomb on Beneath the Boardwalk? I can't remember.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I listened to it last night actually. Yeah.
Oh, did you? What, the demo?
Yeah, the demo. I just found, for some reason last night. I watched the Glastonbury 2013 version of Mardy Bum, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to take it all the way back.
Nice.
I thought,
that probably is the peak Mardy Bum, isn't it? The Glastonbury one. So yeah, strip it back to the beginning after that. Although, thought we were only allowed to listen to the song we were covering that week, to be honest. Thought that was the rule that we were adhering to.
Well, that's a shame because I've been well and truly back on the car this week after a few weeks on Tranquility Base. The car has been
Back on the
full
car.
rotation for me this week.
I'm getting an early Christmas present of some. I decided to go with in-ear headphones, by the way, after our discussion, because I bottled it with the over-ear ones. Because I just feel like there's too much. Like you have to pay too much for a mediocre pair. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you can get for the same price, you can get a really good in-ear one. So I've gone with these Sony ones that are supposed to be the best on the market at the moment, and I'm gonna listen to the car when they arrive, because I read that you hear things that you don't normally hear in the track with those. So have a little walk and listen to that, I think. But yeah, so I'm going to get back on the car then. But yeah, of course, you're free to listen to any Arctic Monkey song anytime. I would never stop anyone doing that. I'm not the
good of you. Thanks,
the
mate.
Hitler of Arctic Monkey songs. Although I have been called that before at a gig when I'm drunk and told someone off for not enjoying it.
God, I can't wait for June.
Oh, don't.
Here they are, the Arctic Monkeys Gestapo.
the big boys are alright. Everyone look like they're having fun.
The Gestapo-tion approaching, may I say?
Oh, very nice, very nice. And
Wasn't.
No, it wasn't. Was it? I was being generous. I was just going to say the Martini Police, so it was no,
That's better.
If we were
to join in.
If we were going to be turning up as some kind of enforcers at an Arctic Monkeys gig, the Martini Police would be the obvious choice for that, really. I'm surprised no cover band's gone for that name yet. I'm
trying.
Because but I do believe Martini Police is a legit lyric that we said. Lovely. Yep. Of that. We seem to get a lot of tranquility-based lyrics in there more than any other, don't we? But going back to the temper guitar and drums bit that I said reminds me of the Marnie Bum change as well.
I forgot
we're having a tangent.
Podcast.
I think people will be used to our tangents by now. But it's all part of the fun. It also reminded me of the drums and rhythm to another Strokes mention here, because I did hear it a lot in this, but reminded me of the drums and rhythm to Alone Together by the Strokes.
He knows it's just about to go to survive. He can in battles make more than alive. Let's talk more blood, let's run 3 hours a day. My world is over, but I don't care, 'cause I am with you. Now I've got to explain things they have changed in such a permanent way.
Interestingly, I was when you sent me that clip to cut up before, I watched the whole thing. Interesting, there's a bit of a potential Me Too moment a few seconds after that.
Hashtag Me Too.
Yeah. It's, I'm surprised that's not.
You're going to tell us?
Julian kind of leans into the crowd
Julius.
and drapes himself onto a lovely looking young lady. Yeah. But she's obscured by other people's heads, so I can't quite see what's going on. But she doesn't look displeased, but at the same time, she doesn't look pleased.
It was 2001 before all that was wrong. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
The
towers haven't even come down yet. 9/11. I don't want to blame it all on 9/11, but it certainly didn't help.
Well, they are a New York-based band. But similarly, that just reminds me of that bit with the drums in that part, and I could hear that influence there. But in the same way that we talk about seeing Arctic Monkeys back then in small gigs, to have seen the Strokes in their early days like that, the heyday in a sweaty club in New York with 30, 40, even 100 people, would have been absolutely incredible. They were a really good live band, and weren't they? The way they just smashed out. Old Albert Hammond Jr. on the guitar, smashing one out. Yeah. Not to be mistaken for his dad, Albert Hammond Sr., obviously.
Yeah. Awkward.
I tell you what, though, the distorted guitar in the chorus of this, like he said, gave me White Stripes vibes again, fell in love with a girl type stuff, that kind of era. Not that. Yeah, I'd say that actually that specific song in a way, it kind of sounded like that time. The solo is very different in this than the other solos we've heard, isn't it? Yes, very heavily distorted.
Yeah.
Very raw.
I'm a big fan of that.
Very raw. Probably the most raw solo I've heard them do. I can't think of many others that are that like raw and messy and distorted in a kind of like, because it's kind of like a punky song.
I think you'd have to go to maybe Beneath the Boardwalk for that. But obviously, a lot of the rawness there comes from the production rather than the distortion and the nature of the solo. It's the production that makes it a bit rawer, I think, in that case. Whereas this is obviously more of a stylistic choice.
Yeah, well, you know, having just heard that Strokes song, then that clip, actually, funnily enough, probably quite a Strokes-esque solo as well. That kind of sound that they had and that energy that they had, like Alone Together, or perhaps something like The Modern Age in there as well as an influence. Yeah, this song is a very Strokesy song. It's definitely the most, I'd say. So I don't know who. Well, they're all Strokes fans, obviously, but I wonder. This song actually reminds me of some favorite Worst Nightmare stuff, though, as well, like Deframe 2R or even Temptation or something like that. Like, I feel like this was in that, because I've always thought of, obviously Temptation's a hip hop song because it has, you know, Dizzy Rascal in it, but I always thought Deframe 2R was a very, very hip hoppy based song as well.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Particularly the bit when Helders comes in towards the end of that, but I can't wait to cover that. Another song that lost out in the votes, but which I love, but you know, what can I do? Can't expect the B-sides to be winning in our little World Cup competition, kind of.
No, unfortunately not.
Unfortunately not. We can't save them all. But yeah,
like Oscar Schindler.
Oh, that list. Imagine that list of Arctic Monkeys songs. Anyway, what else that would be. But yeah, no, I think, so before we move on to the lyrics, I have another little cheeky bonus round, which took me a very long time to prepare. Because I dug myself a hole that I had to get out of. And it's very late in the evening, and I had to sit there and just do it. But yeah, I'll get to that. There's a bonus round.
That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question.
So, in this song, Alec sings out the song after the music stops. So the music stops and he goes, "Red light indicates doors are secured." For the first time that we've heard him do that. And I thought, has he done this again? Where the music actually just fully stops and he sings it out. And then I started to look at it and I realized you can't really Google that and get a coherent answer that's accurate. So what I had to do, every single Arctic Monkeys song, skip to the end and hear it, which I did do. It took me about an hour. But
I thought you could only listen to the song that we're discussing that week.
Well, I said before, I'm not a Hitler, and we've established that. That's how we got into.
Why?
That's how we got into our tangent about policing people's fun at the gigs, Nick. Taking us back to that tangent. But I discovered that there's only 4 other times this happens in the whole, and I did listen to everything, B-sides, everything. Okay, I didn't listen to the covers for obvious reasons, but 4 times that he does this again. Okay,
I've got 2. I've got 2.
It's tense. Let's see. And now, right. I will say this, I was very strict, okay, but I wasn't too strict where if there's like feedback, that's okay, I thought, because that's not somebody playing, that's just the feedback of the instrument, absolutely fine. But if there's even a little bit, because I know one that you might say that I thought was one, but having listened to it, it can't count, and I'll tell you why, but I've got a feeling you're going to say it, but go on, reveal you two.
Oh, God. Right, so...
It doesn't have to be just Alex, by the way. I'm going to say that. It doesn't have to be just Alex, okay?
Good, because that fits in.
That'll be unfair. That'll be unfair. But yes, the Ultra Cheese is one of them. Well,
yeah.
Very impressive.
And my second one that I was a second ago, I was worried that it was going to be one of the ones that you said didn't count. But as soon as you said other band members singing, Leave Before the Lights Come On.
No, that is the one where I said it doesn't count. So the reason why it doesn't count, because I thought it was going to be one as well. That was the one I was talking about. There's a guitar that's like, you know, when a guitar's not getting a distortion on it and it's just coming through the amp. There's a guitar going completely clean, just doing a few strums alongside him saying it, or like little bits. So unfortunately, I thought that was one as well, but unfortunately, it doesn't count. So there's another 3.
B-side.
Well, it is including B-sides. So I don't count Leave Before the Light Come On as a B-side. Actually, in my head, I count it as a single. Which there's no one that needs to be distinct for, except for me in my head. Doesn't matter to anyone. But Al, how do you see it, Al? I'll just turn to Al in the text. How do you see it? Single. Thought it would. Face the front. No, this is for no one in the audio, is it? This is just for no one. This is for me clipping it up and putting it on Instagram.
Just for you now, yeah.
two
It's not
people
even
to
for
watch
me
it.
anymore.
No, you're not even looking when I'm doing it.
I might just
like a madman.
I might just go and leave you both to it.
I've turned into Rod Hull, just talking to Emo at home with a glass of brandy. I gotta change the aerial. No. So one of them is on AM, and it's not Alex. Well, it's not Alex on his own. It's Alex and someone else. Held us because no one else.
Jamie, I can't work out what it is. I'm looking at the AM track listing now, and no, I've got nothing. What is it?
Okay, I'll give it you. So, hi.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Yeah,
God, an awful falsetto
Yeah.
that was. Because I hope they don't tag me in at the gig. Damn, we need to come do a falsetto. I can't.
That falsetto is exactly why Jamie doesn't do backing vocals anymore.
Yeah, when you can hear him live at the Apollo, come up to the mic, getting caught, you think, "Oh, stay on the guitar, Jamie." But yeah, why do you ever call me when you're high? Is of course does that high.
I think I might have the fourth.
Well, we've only got two so far, so we need the third and the fourth.
Is Despair in the Departure Lounge one?
It is.
Makes you feel a bit
It is good.
ill.
Yes, Despair in the Departure Lounge is one. Well done. So now there's only one more to get, and it's a Humbug B-side. So Blake from Arctic Monkeys US will be all over this. I've had a slight suspicion this week that he's a big fan of Humbug B-sides. Shout out to Blake, friend of the show.
Right, yes. It's not Cat Apple, is it?
No.
I don't think it is. No, I've got nothing.
I don't remember what the end is. I've written it down, but I can't remember. It's the Afternoon's Hat. And I think it was the one. That was the one where there was feedback, but I thought, well, there's no actual instrument, it's just feedback, so that's fine. So that ends with him singing. So that's the four. Why do you want to call me when you're high? Despair in the Departure Lounge, The Afternoon's Hat, The Ultra Seas, and Red Light Indicates Doors Are Secured are the only 5 Arctic Monkey songs in 117 tracks where they do that, which is interesting. I actually thought there might not be any more because it wasn't until they heard Despair in the Departure Lounge, obviously, and then there was, there's very sparingly. But I will give this in case anyone wants to email in and say, hey, this one, the reason I didn't give knee socks is because it's actually just like Helder's doing the knee socks thing as a fade out, but he's not actually doing it. It's like, in the production when they've just got like and I thought, well, that doesn't really count. It's just a loop, so I didn't count that. But if someone wants to count it, they can. But I didn't count that as an actual one because no one's actually singing it. But yeah,
that was honestly a fantastic bonus round and very good research. I would take my hat off to you, or my afternoon's hat off to you.
Oh, and is that a lyric?
No, it isn't. It isn't. This is where I'm going to get onto the important admin bit. If you do want to, if you can think of any more, and I doubt you can.
Hitler is the lyrics.
I imagine Dan's been painstaking in his research here, but you can get in touch with us, arcticmonkeyspodcast@gmail.com, and all our other stuff, our channels, the platforms we're available on. If you go into the episode description on your podcast player of choice, then you can find a link to all those in one handy place, can't you?
I'd be fucking livid. I'd be fucking livid if anyone sent one in because it was so. Because as soon as I realized I had to do it, I thought, "Oh, can I do this?" And I thought, "No, I'm going to do it. I've committed to it." And then I got to like the end of Favorite Worst Nightmare, and I was like, "Right, just because it's all the B-sides as well." I was like, "Oh my god!" But you know what? It didn't take that long, and it was worth it. I'd say we had a good little bit of fun there. Good little bonus round that. And it made up for a fairly poor strokes themed bonus round earlier on. So you got a good bonus round this episode at least. But normally these kind of rounds write themselves. But as I say, Red Light Indicates Doors Are Secure. There was like very little being given. It was like you didn't get little gems like they did a Metallica festival. It was the last time they played Still Take You Home to invite you a bonus round on. Normally these little rounds do write themselves in the research. I find with Arctic Monkeys there's always somewhat fun, but not with this one. But we are getting to what I would call the fun part of the discussion now with the lyrics. And I just thought initially I'd just explain that Red Light Indicates Doors Are Secured, for anyone that doesn't know, is basically a red lighted sign in the back of what we call a black cab here in England, a taxi, where it's basically telling you that the door's locked. So if you're going to try and leg it. You're not going to be able to because it's locked. And when the light's off, that's when your opportunity to go and jump it is. Yeah,
drunken plots hatched to jump it. Ask around, are you sure? Went for it, but the red light was showing, and red light indicates doors are secured. No instruments on that bit.
Well, now that you've said that lyric, I'm going to have to. I prepared this towards the end of our discussion, but because you've said that lyric, I'm going to have to do one of my omissions here of another error that I made in the lyrics, and it's a bit of a weird one. This because I never knew that he said drunken plots hatched to jump it.
I didn't until. Well, 7.5 seconds ago.
No, I didn't. I don't know what. I can't tell you what I thought he said.
It's one of them. When I'm singing,
I just never thought about it. Yeah, I've never thought about it. I just thought he said something like. I actually think I thought he said, "We looked around and we jumped it, or we decided to jump it." I just assumed that's what he said. But what he actually said is a really sophisticated, well-written line.
I assumed it was like. Drunk and I decided to jump it. That's what I thought.
So we both got an omission.
I assumed it was. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder how many other people email us in or let us know if anyone else has just discovered this as well. But because I've never gone, but because now obviously you get the lyrics up on Spotify stuff. Back when we heard this album, you don't carry the lyric book around with you. Although, fun fact, when I did get this album, because as told in the first episode of this podcast, I got handed a pirated copy by my cousin to listen to because it leaked. I then didn't want to pay for the album again because I was only 15. So I went into the Morrisons that I ended up working at when I was 15. My mum was doing a Friday night shop. I went over to the CD section. I took the lyric booklet out of the CD case and pocketed it. And I thought, you know what, this is a victimless crime. It's just the lyric book. I'm not stealing the CD. So I stole that lyric book of that. So there's a little omission there. Come for me, police.
That's ironic. That's ironic because not long after that album came out, I bought a copy from that Morrison's and there was no lyric book in it.
Oh, can you ever forgive me?
Yeah, it's fine. I'm over it.
But yeah, never knew that. I just filled that space in my head with something that I thought it was and never bothered to check it. And then when I read Drunken Plots Hatched to Jump It, I was like, oh, what a cool way to say that we drunkenly decided to do it. We hatched a plot drunkenly. Drunken Plots Hatched to Jump It. I was like, a very sophisticated lyric for a young man to write in a song like this, showing his prowess early on. Also, another one. I just get him out of the way because there is another omission I had. When he says about who was next in the queue. Wait, let me get the lyrics up. Can you read that bit? Have you got them there? Got them in front of you, the lyrics?
These two lads squaring up proper shouting about who were next in the queue, the kind of thing that seems so silly, but not when they've both had it.
So he goes kind of, about who was next in the queue, he kind of says the line louder. I always thought he said, and I were next in the queue. I always thought he said, these two lads squaring up shouting, and I were next in the queue. But he says, about who was next in the queue.
That's understandable. I didn't in this case. We've had solidarity already, mate. I'm not going to cling on to. I
think my lyric works better. I don't want to tell Alex how to write a song, but I think and I were next in the queue is a bit more exciting for him to say in the back of the taxi. Note for Alex.
Yeah, another one.
Lyrical genius of a generation, getting notes from me. Using his songs to make shit jingles and bonus rounds with, and I have the audacity to tell him what I think is a better lyric. I'm potentially going to make money off his life's work by doing a discussion on it, and I dare. Anyway, moving on. But that's my another two omissions from me. But I'm glad it's interesting we both didn't know that one. I'd love to know from people. Do get in touch to tell us if you didn't know or not. I'd never bothered to learn it. But yeah, with the lyrics on this one, I'd say this is maybe the closest to rap he'd done at this point. It's essentially just a rap really about a taxi journey, right? Isn't it? I think the only one that goes further than this in a rap is Matador, when he comes in on Matador. Another shout out to Blake. Loves that one with his Madden. But yeah, really love this one. Do you your thoughts on the lyrics of this one? Now that we know what they are.
Now I actually know the buggers. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a lovely little story. And it's not only is it a lovely little story, it's a lovely little story that most people who were kind of out at that time could identify with. I think as with most of the songs on this album, they just take you back to a moment in time. It was very much my thing at the time. Every time I did get into a black cab, I'd have to take a picture of the red light indicates doors secured sign to the point where
I remember you doing that. I never was. I was always still giggling with my kebab going, good one, Nick. I still enjoyed it. I'd enjoy it if you did it now. I didn't actually know that before this song because I was only 15. I had very limited experience of being in black cabs apart from when your mum takes you shopping and makes you jump in one because it's raining. So I didn't know. I'd never noticed that it said that in the back of the taxi. So I didn't know what he was talking about until I think I saw it in a taxi, like very soon after the album came out. And that was something like, maybe I saw you taking it because my first time in Manchester was in Manchester City Centre was with Nick. On a night out. He took me. I was underage. I was 17, so pervert. He was 18, and we went to the Manchester SU, and I remember, which isn't there anymore. And I remember that night very fondly. It was my first time in a club, and I was like, "This is the most amazing thing that's happened to anyone ever." There's 2 rooms with 2 different sets of music on. This is incredible, and I'm drunk, and there's women. And from that point on, I was never right again. That's really your fault.
I'm living the plot of the first Arctic Monkeys album.
I remember because you remember we used to go to the Stockport SU and they used to let you in by just having you Photoshop a picture of a passport and you change the date slightly and they'd accept that because they knew the score. And we did that in the Manchester one and we didn't think they were in a million years going to let me in. I was just expecting to get the bus home and they the bouncers it must have been a slow night because the bouncers were like, "Oh, why have you got that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's I've got my driving license tomorrow, so I didn't want to bring it out." Bullshit. And they were like, "All right, go in." I was clearly 16. I was tiny. But I think that night was the first night I might have seen that in the back of a taxi, and you said it or something like that. But this is like you say, it is all really realistic because we've said before about it being Ryan just like we were living it, and he was talking about it. But this is probably the most realistic, like with the sort of subtle truths that we've all lived with black cabs, like how many people can fit in, no food allowed in, you can't come in here with food. You know, why is he being? You know, they're always rude. The price being extortionate, as they always are in black cabs. Like, I remember before Uber came along. This is why I've got no sympathy for black cab drivers when they moan about Uber. Because I remember from Manchester to Stockport, which is about 7 miles, if that, probably, isn't it, to where we live. They used to charge about 30 quid and you'd have to negotiate it down to 25 quid. And now in an Uber, it's about a tenner. So they were proper ripping us off. So I've got no sympathy for you black cabmen now because you should have ripped us off for years if you didn't want Uber to come in, should you? It's like people, HMV, the high street. If you weren't ripping us off HMV, we wouldn't have had to go to Amazon, would we? £25 for a DVD.
Losers.
No sympathy. It's capitalism. Get over it.
A little bit of background for the Americans because I imagine they don't call it a taxi rank in America. I don't know, or maybe they do.
Very
but
surprised. They don't have ranks, do they? They just like put their arm up in New York.
They just put their arm up and one appears.
Yeah,
like the night bus in Harry Potter.
If it's black, it just drive past you. Famously,
just shoot you. Yeah, so a taxi rank is kind of like it's like a lay-by. It's kind of set aside from the road and all the black cabs. There's a black cab, you can flag it down at any point as long as the light on the front is lit up. You can flag it down. It's not private hire, so it's totally different proposition. But they would at the end of the night, you'd go and get your kebab or your burger or your falafel for our meat-free friends. Or just some chips, maybe. Stop sharking a minute to get chips and drinks. And you go to queue, and it's basically a free-for-all. If anyone's seen Mad Max Fury Road, that's the vibe of a taxi rank. It's just mental.
Yeah. Also, I remember as a kid, every time we'd go to the taxi rank in Stockport, opposite Iceland and opposite the plaza, and it'd be raining, and we'd get to the front, and every single time the cab driver would be out of the cab talking to someone, and he'd throw his flag and go, "Where you going, love?" and jump in, like every time. That's my memory. Yeah. I remember a very mean auntie of mine shouting at me for sitting on the seat and making me sit on the little fold-down seat, and I'm still there about it to this day.
I think that's what I did after that night out.
This was only yesterday.
I'm a big boy now.
You're not. But yeah, no, black cabs is, it's a British institution, isn't it? Black cabs, like, fading out now. But again, like, I got in one because there was no Ubers available not long ago. And yeah, I don't know. There's something about them, innit? There is a bit of nostalgia about a black cab. still,
Yeah.
but they
And
are
you get
they are
the little
rip-offs.
red light indicates those are secured sign. So
And you get that. But as I said last week in my intro for this, discussing this song, that there are always annoying people that drive black cabs who want to tell you how the country's run. Armchair football managers, armchair politicians.
yeah,
Everything's
yeah,
that, right? Yeah.
fascists.
Yeah. I have much more lovelier chats with people in Ubers than I do in a black cab. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. If you want to meet a race, if you want to go out and get drunk, like not get off with girls and then get a kebab and meet a racist, a black cab is the best way to do it.
Yeah. If you want to meet a Britain First member without having to
Yeah.
pay their extortionate membership fees, then I would get a black cab. I would get a black cab. You know what I love about the lyrics in this? The way he structures the verses flitting between conversations. So it's like the girl in the bar, and then he jumps to the fight they've seen, and in between references to the price of the taxi and the directions. It throws me into that feeling of being drunk, and there's a group of you, and everyone's talking loudly because you're so drunk, and there's different conversations going on, and people are just shouting bits of conversation towards each other. Like, it just really makes me think of like drunk memories and chaos in the back of a taxi, because it always is. You're always loud. The taxi drivers must fucking hate it. I'd hate to be a taxi driver driving people back from Manchester. Like, you know, you've got your food, you're shouting, you're talking crap like to each other because you're pissed. Or drunk, I should say. It's just the song, the way he structures that just really puts me in that headspace again.
Yeah, really. And this, of all the songs on here, because when you are going out at that age, you'd have friends who were in a very happy, fulfilling relationship. So a lot of the songs on this album maybe wouldn't apply to them. But I think this is a song that's universal. Even if you're not going out getting rejected by girls of an evening, you're still having this experience at the end of the night, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you know, in my case, even if I had a girlfriend, I would have still been going out getting rejected by women, but trying. So back then. So, awful man hours. But yeah, I'm different now. I've changed. It was 15 years ago. But yeah, 15 years ago. It's depressing, isn't it, when you say that? But yeah, you know the lyric, where you're coming up at our end, aren't you? So I'll get one with you. Apparently, that is in reference to the fact that Andy didn't live in the same area as Alex, Jamie, and Matt. He lived in Hillsborough, while the rest lived in High Green. And although they live in different areas, you can pass through Hillsborough to get to High Green from the city centre. So Alex said they should take the same cab because they can go through the same places. And just for people that don't know, Hillsborough, grid reference SK332896, is a suburb in northwest Sheffield, South Yorkshire, England. The centre of the district is popularly thought to be Hillsborough Corner, where Langsett Road, Middlewood Road, Home Lane, and Bradfield Road all meet. The Hillsborough ward population at the 2011 census was 18,605. High Green is the northernmost suburb of Sheffield, England, located about 8 miles from the city centre. It is found to the north of Chapeltown and is served by buses. The nearest rail station is Chapeltown, 1 mile away. The suburb falls within the west-east Ecclesfield ward of the City Council, and it's where most of our chaps from the Arctic Monkeys hail from as well, obviously. So yeah.
I can't remember who because Hillsborough, of course, is famous for being the home of Sheffield Wednesday Football Club, which I know Alex supports.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Sure about...
I thought you were going to bring the podcast down, but
we don't need to go there, mate. We don't need to go there. Just fuck Yorkshire Police and fuck the Tory Party. That's all we need to say about that.
Here. And the sun.
And the sun.
Yeah. Boo. Not the last time he'll want to leave a moving vehicle, is it, Nick? As he states at the end that he didn't want to leave, sorry. There's another time that he won't want to leave a moving vehicle. Oh, this could be a bonus. I thought you were going to know straight away, so play the bonus round, Jiggle, because now you don't know. Why not? It's turned into one.
That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question.
Jingle's not getting tiresome at all.
Well, this is stumbled into this one. No, it's not. Nice, lovely, excellent jingle. But no, there's another song where he references not wanting to leave a car, and it's he doesn't say the words like "don't want to leave," but you'll kick yourself.
See, I'm thinking it's the car, but I don't think it is.
Nope. Do you not know? There is a song where he's sniffing seatbelts and telling people to go the long way around because
yeah, just my favourite.
Your favourite song, yeah, that's what I thought you'd say straight away.
What a knob!
I guess you could kind of do me a favour somewhere. There's a lot of emotional moments happening in Cars for Alex, don't there? That one, but yeah, that's my kind of thoughts on those lyrics. Do you have any more to say on that? I think you do.
Yes, I've got a little bit more back because I'm not just a pretty face on here. So I've got a bit of background on the Smirnoff Ice and Tropical Reef lines.
Of course.
So back in the mid 1990s, there was a massive moral panic about alcopops, as they're called, and a bit of background on them. Wine coolers gained popularity in the US market in the 1980s when Bartles and James began advertising their brand of wine coolers, which were followed by other brands, including when Bacardi introduced the Breezer. A growth in popularity occurred around 1993 with Two Dogs, DNA Alcoholic Spring Water, Hooper's Hooch, and Zima.
Oh, yeah, that rings
which
a bell.
is referenced in an episode of Friends where where they're planning Ross's bachelor party, and he says, "Oh, just the dinosaur dudes," and Joey says, "Well, we're going to need a 6-pack of Zima." I always thought it was. I thought it was non-alcoholic lager, but no, it's an alcopop. Yeah.
So even in America, people think that like pussies drink alcopops.
Yeah. Wine coolers. I always associated wine coolers with soccer moms. So I'm sure our American listeners can praise us on that. Wine coolers are on the decline due to the increase in the US federal wine tax. And using a malt beverage base became the new industry standard, hence these being marketed under the title of malternative beverage. I like what he did there. Later, Mike's Hard Lemonade, lovely stuff, was released in the United States with humorous commercials depicting what they called violence against lemons. Smirnoff also came out with another citrus-flavoured malt beverage in the United States in the late 90s called Smirnoff Ice, as we've heard. Which promoted itself with flashy commercials, usually involving trendy young people dancing in unlikely situations and places. Through its Alcopop Free Zone campaign, Alcohol Justice has sought to ban alcopop sales entirely, since the sweet and brightly covered alcoholic drinks may appeal to children. Many cooler advertising campaigns have been criticised as trying to make alcopops appeal to young drinkers. In the United Kingdom, a media outcry during the mid-1990s arose as a tabloid press, it's always a tabloid press, isn't it, associated alcopops with underage drinking, which damaged sales and led to British liquor stores withdrawing them from their shelves, only temporarily. Brands of coolers are numerous and their alcoholic base varies greatly. Some notable brands include, and this is going to be a blast from the past, mate, VK Vodka Kick, Smirnoff Ice, Mike's Hard Lemonade, Bacardi Breezer, Palm Bay, Sky Blue, Jack Daniel's Hard Cola, and in the UK, are you ready for this? WKD Original Vodka.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and
JD Hard Cola as well. Wow.
JD Hard Cola, yeah. Which you can kind of get now. You get them
the little cans that are just like one glass of JD and Coke in it, but even
very
less
good for a
alcohol.
train journey, I find.
Very good, yeah.
Very good for shotgunning outside a gig. But yes, Tropic Reef was another another brand of those. But the nightclubs we used to frequent, us two, you'd get there at 10 o'clock and it'd be 80 pence for a bottle of one of these. Warm, it wouldn't be cold, but it'd be 80 pence for a Tropical Reef back in the good old days.
Had miniature whiskey and we shared a Coke. See, the beautiful fact you're going to have to play the lyric alarm for a song that you don't like.
No, because that wasn't organic. I'm not playing. Oh, I'm doing it.
What do you mean it wasn't organic? It was organic. You mentioned JD. It was perfect. It was probably more organic than any other one we've done. Yes. I do. I mean, I recall all of them in a horrific manner. I remember I used to get, if I'd had too much to drink and it were getting to 1 a.m, I still had to get through 2 hours. I had to gear myself back up. I'd get a Smirnoff Ice and switch to the Smirnoff Ices or a Blue Wicked. Do you remember as well, there used to be a drink in the Stockport SU called the Hulk, which was pouring a Blue Wicked into a lager.
Yes. Oh, they were the days, and it go bright green, hence the name the Hulk. Yeah, I might have one of them. I think I'll have one of them next week.
Why don't they let us in the Stockport Student Union? Why don't they let us in there anymore?
because it's inappropriate, though. You don't want me anywhere with students. Look at me. I'm anywhere near them.
But yeah, I think you were about to also do us with the other reference, which was the Tropical Reef.
Yes. So yeah, that was another type
Don't
of.
think I ever had one. I can't remember having one. Maybe I did and I forgot. I don't think I ever
It was
properly.
essentially just the same thing as VK or VS or Wicked.
But I think
It was all.
I think it was more juice. I think I read when I did have a little look at some stuff, and I think I read it was 42% juice, so it was more juice than any of the others. So it's probably like barely alcoholic, really. In terms of what was in it, but yeah,
good preparation for the hangover, that isn't it? Gonna get ahead of the hangover with that.
As much as I don't think it was a hysteria moment or it needed to be really flagged, but they clearly were targeting kids with them because it was like juice, so he doesn't taste like alcohol. And hey, maybe the shopkeeper will let you buy it because he don't give a fuck. He just wants to make money and he's depressed. And he thinks, well, it's just an alcopop. I mean, it's called an alcopop. What a name!
Yeah, what do you expect from it?
Sounds like a kid's sweet.
Around this time, the time of this song and this album, I remember seeing adverts on TV where it was like hip young teenagers, like top shop princesses, if you will, and princes. That sort of demographic, and they'd be drinking responsibly, having a nice game of pool. It should really be a girl in a nightclub toilet, like being sick in a handbag and doing a pregnancy test, because that was the kind of lifestyle that it was associated with, rather than the drinking in moderation being all cool.
It wasn't a big thing in the clubs that we frequented, was it? That was more you vodka Red Bulls and stuff like that, and a beer, like a bottle of Beck's. Like you could get a bucket of Beck's or a bucket of Buds for a tenner or something like that, and you'd all put in and share it, or a fiver probably back then. But it was, it was more with the clubs that I call like the Deansgate Lock clubs, your Pop Worlds, and all that kind of places where you would find that kind of thing, wasn't it? Yeah, we don't fit that, but actually, I kind of want to like just talk about that lyric a little bit as well. So, but that is my favorite lyric, actually, that one,
which takes us on to
too busy with the mind on clever lines.
Yeah, so the whole thing is obviously, didn't you see she was gorgeous, she was beyond belief, but this lad at her side drinking his Smirnoff Ice came and paid for a tropical reef. Just because, like, how can you not pick that line where he rhymes belief with tropical reef, which is a mental rhyme, and makes a rap-like sentence about it, and manages to incorporate Smirnoff Ice into that. And it's kind of like he's having a dig at this lad you get the image just from him saying he was drinking a Smirnoff Ice and he paid for her tropical reef. You get an image of the type of girl that she was and the type of guy that he was straight away. Is that kind of posery guy in the club, like the Deansgate Locks crowd, basically, as we said before. Which when we say that, obviously people won't get. So I should say, really, it's I don't know what maybe in America it would be your kind of R&B crowd type clubs. Something like that would be
nowadays. I'd imagine Deansgate Locks is your wannabe influencers. I'd imagine it used to be like for people who wanted to be footballers' wives or wanted to pretend they were footballers. That sort of thing.
My old flat just 3 years ago was next to Deansgate Locks. Obviously, the Hacienda in Manchester. I don't live there anymore, so I can tell you. Was next to it, and I went to a couple of times begrudgingly late on when I couldn't bother walking anywhere else. Went to a couple of bars there, and yes, that is exactly what it is. Like exactly the crowd that's in there. Yeah, either really just the worst, and they have to have loads of bouncers because everyone's in knobhead and it's crowded, and it's either that or it's like young girls shouting and throwing up. Yeah, it's exactly what you don't want. But yeah, that's the exact thing that this crowd kind of this lyric puts to mind. The way you can put that, he's done it before when we said he used a cultural reference to put an image in your mind of the type of person somebody was, a top shop princess, rock star too. But like, yeah. This just he does it, and I'll never get over rhyming belief with tropical reef, like coming up with that. When he wrote that, I know he's not like he's quite a, he doesn't really arrogantly talk about his lyrics, does he? He seems quite shy about discussing that talent, particularly back then. If you wrote, didn't you see she was gorgeous, she was beyond belief, but this lad at her side drinking his Smirnoff Ice came and paid for a tropical reef, I'd be like, that's it, I'm done. I'm never gonna, especially at like 17, I'd be like, I'm never gonna write anything better than that. That's amazing. But yeah, what a lyric. Is that what's your favourite lyric in this song, Nick?
They wanted to be men and do some fighting in the street. It said no surrender, no chance of retreat, which people might not be aware. No surrender is very much I wouldn't say fascist, but a right-wing football hooligan slogan. It's no surrender is often used. Songs about the IRA that you'll sometimes hear at football matches contain the phrase "no surrender." So it conjures up this image of a particular type of gentleman.
Well,
shall we say?
He does throw kind of sometimes concepts like that into songs. I don't know why it shouldn't be that, because he uses a word that you wouldn't expect in From the Ritz to the Rubble that we'll get to. That kind of puts a certain image in your head of a certain So yeah, he does like to do that. So I imagine that probably is perhaps what he's referencing and putting that. Yeah, especially the type of person that would be having a scrap like about who were first in a bank line queue or whatever. That type of person. But yeah, no. Shall we move on to our favourite musical moment?
Mad sound in your ear. They make you get up and dance. They make you get up.
Mine would be so just at the end of the song, as it kind of hits the last couple of lyrics before all the music stops and Alex sings the last line. It goes really hip hop esque when all the guitars join to do the main riff for the very end of the song. I think you might reference it earlier actually, but that bit, just that bit of music there is my favorite part of the song. I just think it's really cool when they all come in doing it, but in different parts of the guitar, it sounds like they're doing the same riff. But yeah, I absolutely love that bit. And I think at the end of the song's just really cool because he does that and then it stops and he says, "Red light indicates doors are secured." And I do wonder if, like, because they haven't done that very often, as we established in our bonus round, whether he tried to make that work in the way he makes monster truck front flip work in a song. I wonder if they tried to do that with music and they were just like, this ain't going to work, so we're going to have to stop the music and I'm just going to have to say it at the end, you know? But yeah, I absolutely love that bit. That's my favourite moment.
Kind of matches up with mine because mine is just the riff in general. It's quintessential. It's the quintessential Arctic Monkeys style, especially early on. Well, no, not early on, because we've pointed out that it goes all the way through the discography. But at the same time, it could be hip hop, it could be funk, it could be ska. Or it's just this kind of myriad of influences. I think it's great. Yeah,
Strokes as well in there.
Yes, yeah.
Much like the song, we both matched it towards the end. Much like the riffs, we did it. Yeah.
pulled it all together, you know. It's been a fiasco of a show, but we pulled it in.
I do kind of have a hot take. I'm going to say it's a hot take, but it's more of a little chat we'll have. But yeah, hot take. Please.
It's a red hot revelation off the tip of a tongue.
Best song about a taxi. Now, people will say Joni Mitchell, Big Yellow Taxi, but probably specifically the Counting Crows, Vanessa Carlton version of that song, which is superior to be fair. But I'd say not really about a taxi, that song. It may say Big Yellow Taxi in the title, but I would argue that it's not about a taxi at all.
Well, actually, Dan, it was a song in which Joni complains that they paved Paradise in the parking lot, a measure which actually would have alleviated traffic congestion on the outskirts of Paradise, which doesn't fit into a blinkered view of the world.
But yeah, what do you think about the pedestrianation of Stockport City Town Centre? But yeah, not really about a taxi though, is it at all? That one. So and I struggled to find. I found a few songs. I did stumble upon a song called "Taxi" by Harry Chapin. I would advise everyone listening to this as a fan of The Car, the song and the album, to go and listen to this song. So it's "Taxi" by Harry Chapin because it is very Mr. Schwartz-esque. So check that out if you like them and let us know what you think. But yeah, I couldn't think of any. If anyone knows any taxi-related songs, and it's a bit of a cop-out because if there aren't many other songs about taxis, it's going to easily be the best song about taxi. It's definitely the best song about a taxi journey in Britain after a night out.
Yes. Oh yeah. Well, without a doubt. I have found another one actually. There's Jola Taxi, which is by Johnny Depp's ex-wife, one of them, Vanessa Paradis. It's by her, but look, it's all in French, so I don't have chance.
Don't count then. It's not English. I don't care.
Yeah.
I didn't. No, I take that back because Alex's girlfriend is French and she's a singer. I take that back, Alex. Sorry, Al. Talking to the taxi again, but he's. No, I mean, I did type taxi in Spotify and there were a lot of songs, but I couldn't be bothered listening to them all just to find out if they're about taxi and if they're better than this, which I probably wouldn't think they were anyway. So it was. But yeah, it's quite an easy. It's not really a hot take, but I just say I've never heard another song about a taxi that gripped me like this one. So song about a taxi. But what competition is that? Probably none. Let's see.
But Vampire Weekend have a song called Taxi Cab.
Well, is it going to be better than this?
It's no, but it is about looking at the lyrics. It is about a taxi ride, yeah. But yeah, it's not going to be as good as. I mean, it's from Vampire Weekend's. I think from the third album.
Oh, right.
No, it's from their second album. So yeah, it's not going to be that good, is it?
No, it's not A-Punk. Who cares? Is who is this? Do you think? I've just thought of this. Do you think in Cornerstone he's in a taxi? I never thought about it. Well, I always assumed his mate was driving him round for some reason. I got no reason to think that. In my head, he had a mate driving him to each pub, like hell does.
If he's smelling her scent on the seatbelt,
it implies it's a car she's been in. Oh yeah,
it's a car she's been in. Yeah,
that's why I thought it was. So it's his then, but it can't be his because he's telling someone else to drive. Interesting, Alex. Whose car is he in? Is it? Oh, is it his sister's? Eh?
Well, he's keeper. Eh? He's a dirty boy. The old
that.
dirty bollocks.
Weird end to a song that, but we'll get to that.
Well, he's also keeping his shortcuts to himself, which would suggest that he's not driving.
Exactly, that's what I said. Yeah, that's why I'm confused. Is it he's not in a taxi, but her scent's there. Unless he's trailing around and getting in cabs after she's got out. That's virgin on. Well, creepier than me.
Yeah.
Although he does own a taxi, look, he's driving in now. So. But yeah, no, I've this song is an interesting song. I think I like it. I like listening to it, but I like listening to it because it reminds me of something I lived, and I like listening to it because of the cultural references more so than anything else. So I can understand why it's not one of the top rated listen ones, because other people that don't have that context might. I'm sure the music's good enough to listen to, but what really makes it special is that it being so perfectly about that time and a place again. Yeah, the rest of this album has both, but I'd say this one's lacking just a little bit in top tierness. And if it weren't for its lyrical work, it might not be as good.
It can fall by the wayside, I think, if it wasn't for the lyrical prowess, as you said. Absolutely.
You could think that one of the B-sides, like Settle for a Draw, is superior if you wanted to go that way. But
yeah,
this isn't the theme of the album, I guess.
Leave Before the Lights Come On could have fit in this slot as well. You're getting me to leave the nightclub, aren't you? But then when we get to Ritz in a couple,
do you think he's getting us to leave the night? Like I have a different read of that song. That's going to be interesting when we get to it. Save it for that. But I have a different read of Leave Before the Lights Come On.
Well, because in this, yeah, because it's.
Well, we got leave it.
It's meeting a girl towards the end. Yeah.
I didn't see it as leaving. In my head, leave for. Oh, can't. I feel like we can't talk about it because we've got to get there and have this chat on that podcast. Let's just save it.
Otherwise, we'll just have to talk about Strokes for an hour again.
We'll be there by like May, so don't worry. But yeah, I have a different read of that song entirely, of the narrative of that song. I don't even see it being set in a nightclub, so that's going to be an interesting chat. So let's save it for that. Yeah, so no, I've again, like I said, I don't think it's quite up there with the others, but good little discussion on it. And yeah, but we are hitting, apart from you could argue one, we are hitting a part of the album which is an unstoppable force of tunes. Apart from you could say maybe one, but I think that one also will have a lot of interesting musical discussions on.
Yes, absolutely.
They're all massive hits now. We've gone past apart from that one, we've gone past near enough every massive, the one that isn't quite up there, haven't we? We're getting there.
We are. Yeah. We well and truly are.
As Primal Scream would say, we're moving on up.
Yeah, as the M people would say as well.
Moving on up, yeah. People love moving on up in the 90s, didn't they?
Yeah. They love it now, apparently. Looking at
New Labour. Things can only get better.
Oh God! I feel sick now. Oh God! If you've enjoyed the non-political parts of this episode, then don't forget to like, rate, review, subscribe. We've got a few 5 stars out of 5 reviews, haven't we?
We have, yeah. Someone on our put that as the title on Apple Podcasts, which I appreciated. 5 stars out of 5. They clearly knew what they were doing. That's the title of the review. Yeah. Enjoy that.
I mean, you'd be disappointed if someone listened to this and didn't come up with that. Because obviously, big Arctic Monkeys fan.
But I do want to they just put that. I would want to reiterate for people as every week now as we're heading here that if anyone wants to email us anything or social media messages or anything like that, we will collate them all for the wrap up and go through it. Whether you have something you want us to discuss, whether you have a little game for us to play, whether you have an opinion to share, we will do everything in a wrap up pod. So yeah, get your things in the next few weeks so that we can do. Yes. Absolutely. Although we have got all the B-sides as well, actually. So in my head, I always think Certain Romance is where we stop, but it's not. We've got like 7 more, 8, 9 weeks, haven't we, after that?
Yeah. Maybe we'll stick the wrap-up in after Certain Romance, possibly. We'll see how we're
and do the wrap-up, a B-side wrap-up podcast as well. Could be interesting. Wrap-up of the album, wrap-up of the B-sides.
Yeah, because people might have things to say about the B-sides and stuff that they will ask us, so that might form another. Things to say,
but they won't listen.
yeah. Oh my god! And also, don't forget to go in the episode description on your podcast player and find all our links. Subscribe to us on TikTok, YouTube, your podcast player, everywhere. It really does help. And we will be back this time next week, Lesbian Wednesday, of course. Not said that for a few weeks, so I've got to keep it up there in the old noggin. What will we be back with next week, Dan?
You know what, Nick? I'm fucking sick of this shit. You expect me to just write bits, write jokes, dance, monkey, fucking dance. I'm sick of all this, and I'm sick of you. No, look, I'm sorry, mate. It's just been tough maintaining this relationship over these pods. You know, I just wish we could go back to the early podcasts because there's pleasant side to this relationship, one I much prefer. This one that's laughs and jokes around. Remember cuddles in the kitchen, to get this podcast off the ground? Yes, you sour-faced little madams, it's time to turn that frown upside down because this podcast's never late. The traffic is never in a state because I've got fibre now. So cheer up because next week we'll be covering Mardy Bum and me and Nick are going to go off and out will come all these words because we care. Of course we do. We clearly do.
Yeah. No. Help myself, man. I just lapsed into it.
What an episode it's going to be.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we'll find time to chat about what weirdly may well be the definitive version of that track that doesn't really sound anything like the album version, which will be fun. I think there'll be a bit of the Glastonbury 2013 version may well.
I think we definitely need to clip that up, don't we? I'd say I think we'd be doing our listeners a disservice if we didn't, and ourselves.
Yes, I think that's good. And that's the last thing we want to do is do anyone a disservice. I've been doing myself disservices all my life. The last thing I want to do is do it to someone else.
Plus, we get to give a credit to the Duchess man in Manchester. Stay tuned to find out how that is.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's good, isn't it? Yeah. That's a good link. Yeah. That's a good way to end it. That. Well, thank you for tuning in, folks. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks
for coming. Thanks for coming to the office.
Can't
you discipline him? We will see you. We will see you this time next week. Say goodbye to the nice people, Dan.
Goodbye.
Bye. Don't Believe the Hype is hosted and produced weekly by Nick Lee and Dan Holt. The music used in the titles is royalty-free music courtesy of Les FM. Don't forget to subscribe on your podcast player of choice to be notified every Wednesday when a new episode is released. And if you want to help us out further, be sure to like and review to help make us more visible to like-minded souls. We will see you next week with more of the same.